Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Thursday, the 4th of May 2017. Now, some people have asked, what is an email address to get through to me? What's the one to use? And if you want to use one, use this one. info@davidkamay.com, with the David Kamay spelt as it is on the website. So it's info@davidkamay.com. Now the event, which I plan to have on the 20th, it's still going ahead, but the details are still being finalised, so wait for that. If you're interested in coming along, which I hope you are, details won't be long. Now, as I said yesterday, lawlessness, treason, subversion, general trampling over innocent people, trampling over lawful process, trampling over legal process, just pushing ahead, lawlessness, treason, subversion, breaking of the law, while pretending to follow it, while holding your posture as if you are one of the upright ones, and yet you are not. This is something that has been repeated throughout history. And I was just looking in Kings, 1 Kings 18 actually, I was just reading through it. It's very interesting reading Kings and Samuel, see those roots of government in the Israelites. And I just noticed this with this little meeting between Elijah and Ahab. Of course, there was a bit of a conflict between the two. Elijah wanted the law applied, and he wanted the decay to stop. And Ahab, of course, the wicked king, one of the wicked kings of the Bible, wanted to continue with the ignoring of the law and the consequent destruction of Israel. Ahab, of course, got killed by an arrow just at the end, which was licked up. His blood was licked up by dogs. There are other versions, of course, that say that it was also pigs that licked his blood. And his wife Jezebel was thrown out a window by Jehu. Jehu, I don't know how to pronounce it. Jehu. Anyway, that's the quality of the man. And of course, Elijah was the one of the main ones who was standing against Ahab. And I think a lot of you would recognise the responsibility of the likes of Elijah, because I know that many of you out there are doing your best in isolation, standing up and demanding that the law be followed, that the lies cease, that the deceit ceases, that the treason ceases, that the subversion ceases. I know there are many of you out there probably feeling very lonely, probably feeling very isolated. And in your exasperation at the total, it is little word to describe it, it's deliberate destruction of our countries and the consequent trampling on innocent people, and using their innocence against them, and using the fact that all information, or the vast majority of sound information on the law, for example, has been hidden from them deliberately. Meanwhile, various groups of people work behind the scenes in their secret groups, secret societies, against your interests, and yet when they come out of their secret groups, secret societies, secret meetings, they wear the clothes and the demeanour of the righteous, when of course they are not. They are liars, they are deceivers. Anyway, I was looking at this and I was reminded of those people when I saw Elijah standing, he's one of those who stood against them. And Ahab was the man he stood against. And he went to meet Ahab. And I think this little exchange sums things up quite nicely. It is, again, history repeating itself, and it comes from 1 Kings 18, and it's 17 to 18. And it came to pass, when Ahab saw Elijah, that Ahab said to him, "Are you the one who's troubling Israel?" And he answered, "I have not made trouble for Israel, but you and your father's house have, in that you've forsaken the commandments of Yahweh and you've followed the Baals." This sentiment should stir up a few emotions or feelings or some sort of recognition in many of you out there. You know, it's funny, isn't it, that those of us who are actually trying to uphold the law and point out that the law is being broken and point out the crimes that are being committed, we are the ones, aren't we, who are told that we're making trouble. I've been called all sorts of things, from a communist to a rebel rouser, when rebellion, of course, is connected with the separation from God. We've been called all sorts of things, and we are not making trouble for our country. We are trying to restore what is good in our country, and that includes applying the law, as it says there. Here, you know, you've forsaken the commandments of Yahweh. Like I was saying, these people who go around with that demeanour of superiority. That demeanour of superiority is making a claim, isn't it? That they're applying the law, that they're doing what's right, that they are following the commandments, that they are in fact Christian men and women. They often claim to be that, don't they, these people in these high positions? But they are not. As it says, you follow the Baals, you know, the corruption, the lies, the self-serving, twisted ways that are designed to separate man from God, from the law, from our constitution, from any sort of order and peace in our country, so that we are rendered disturbed all the time with this constant threat of change, this constant threat of building plans, this constant threat of mass clergy plan immigration to undermine our culture. But history, yes, history does repeat itself. But what happened to Ahab? Yes, of course, he was killed by an arrow and his wife was thrown out a window. I don't suggest that people, of course, go killing anybody or throwing anyone out of the window. But what I do say is that it has been done before. History is repeating itself. Just as men stood up in those days, so men are standing up now, and women are standing up. They are taking cases, pro se cases, cases without solicitors and barristers. They're looking into the law. They're recognising that the law is generally simple in principle, but you've got to get the details right. You've got to be very careful with it. But the thing is, there are men and women across these common law countries who are taking those in positions of authority, false authority, who are abusing positions of authority. They are taking them to court. And they're doing it under common law. And when you are on the side of what is right, things, yes, you're going to find it very difficult at times, but ultimately you're doing what's right. And ultimately, you holding your ground and trying to uphold the law. Of course, our law, the common law, is God's law through Christ, implemented by man's common sense and reason. It's essential that it is implemented for the very same reasons. Anyway, it's good that many of you are doing your best. And I'm going to remind you again of that boxer, Anthony, who just recently won that fight. He said, I'm not perfect, but I'm having a go. And if you don't have a go, you fail. So there we are, ladies and gentlemen. I just thought I'd give you that thought today. And don't forget, like I said, this event on the 20th, I plan to get it arranged, and I'll give you details on that in the next few days. And the email address, if you want to send me an email, is info@davidcamay.com. And but please note that I am not promising that I'll respond to all of them, because I simply don't have time to do that. Okay, thank you very much for watching, and I shall speak to you very soon, no doubt.